All right, everybody, we are on the Reese Moby podcast. Just thinking randomly, I think it's episode 16 now, so just keeping it rolling, keeping it going. I'm having a lot of fun doing these, and today I'm here with Jared, and I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, but basically, like you're just into like the vitality, the esoteric health stuff, and even quite a bit different stuff that I've been into, so I'm really excited to pick your brain on it. But yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself for now. So thank you for coming on here, Jared.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. It's great. I love seeing like the pods that you post on Substack. I definitely dive into those, and so it's definitely
Let's
been
go.
yeah, been exciting to like think about getting on here with you. So yeah, as you said, my name's Jared. I currently work as a nurse. I've been a nurse for going on 6 years now. I did ICU for about 5 years, but now thankfully I have transitioned out of the hospital and I work at like a med spa type situation that does like IV vitamin infusions, vitamin injections, and stuff, which is a little more aligned with where I'm at in terms of like health promotion, at least, rather than in the hospital where it was kind of just like disease management. And especially in the ICU, it's like just get this person well enough that they can get out of the
Yeah.
ICU, like doesn't just do anything you possibly can that is going to keep them alive, basically. So yeah, definitely very excited where I'm at now and on the trajectory that I've been on in terms of like actually, um, as you said, kind of diving into like the esoteric side of health and just what it means to actually live a vital, healthy life, because that isn't something that most people are taught, especially those that go through medical training or like nursing training, like I did. I was kind of just like, here's this medication that you can get to treat this particular symptom, or this is what you do in this certain situation. But never really getting into like, how do we actually make these people well and give them the tools that they need outside of the hospital so they don't end up back in the hospital. Um, so yeah, we can just kind of jump off from there, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that perspective that you get to take from it now. Like that last line that you just said, like how can we help people so you don't have to be back here? Because that's something that not a lot of places focus on. I'm curious, what has that been like for you being into this like alternative side of health where you know that healing is possible naturally and that it can kind of come from like within, come from yourself, but still being in that like healthcare space. What's that been like?
Yeah, it was definitely quite the challenge, especially the deeper I got into my own health journey and kind of discovering more and more through like my own personal practice of like the things I was implementing and just seeing the results of them was completely different than like what you would experience in the hospital. When I first got started, it was pretty just overwhelming at first because I graduated the spring of 2020, which is like probably the worst time to get started working in the hospital, especially in the ICU. So it was kind of a mess there, and I was just running like with it like a chicken with my head cut off for
Yeah,
probably
I
the
can
good
imagine.
first yeah a good first like 2 years of just getting absolutely slammed every single night I'm in there, um, dealing with like 2 to 3 like very critical on the verge of like this person could code, which is that basically just means that like they either go into cardiac arrest or respiratory arrest. Like people on the verge of that multiple times every single night. So it was very stress inducing in that situation. And so I wasn't really able to like think about like the grander scheme of like my own health in general because I was working nights at the time, which is like a whole
Oh,
other thing that I had to deal with. Um, and so, yeah, like once I kind of started to become aware of that, because that was around the time that my own like health journey started as well. I'd kind of gotten into it like my sophomore to senior year of college, I would say, um, in terms of like actually becoming aware of my own personal responsibility and like my own personal power that I can take my health into my own hands. Um, and so it was definitely very challenging for the first couple years just to like really see on the other side of the hospital. But then the more that I was able to, as I said, like see my own practices and like the fruits of what I was doing, it was kind of just created like a greater divide between what I was doing outside of the hospital versus like what I was doing inside of the hospital. And it was causing a lot of like internal like strife, I would say, because it was more and more as I went on, just kind of continued to like go against my values and the things that I wanted to be doing, like in terms of actually promoting health for others and seeing them thrive rather than just like doing what I'm ordered to do by the doctors and what is like traditionally done. And so that was kind of like my impetus to like try to escape there and figure out a way that I could get out of the hospital in any means necessary. Which is actually how I found the current job I'm at. I originally started working there as just like a side hustle because I was just getting so burnt out. I was like, I need to step away from this as much
Yeah.
as I possibly can, but still obviously make an income. Um, so I got started working there about 5 years ago, and yeah, it was cool to see like stepping into that realm of it, and like everybody who comes in is like moderately healthy. When they leave, they got a smile on their face, and it's like super fun to have an interaction with them there. Whereas in the hospital, like there were plenty of times that you'd have good interactions with people, like they're very thankful for all the care that they got and everything, but it was just like kind of always left this like sense that I didn't really get to do as much as I would have liked. And that's just like kind of how the system is set up. Like you can't necessarily, especially working in the ICU, you can't like educate them on the numerous things that they could do outside of the hospital just because and those people aren't also really focused on that at the time because they're just thankful to be alive, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I can I can see how like it popped in my head. It was like nobody wants to be at a hospital. But yeah, like what you said, like smiles on your face and they're healthy going in and they're better going out and they're happy and excited. It really comes down to like what came up for me is like if you're not happy, you're not like truly healthy. If you're not like feeling good, there's something that underlying that could be there. And I think that's probably because like happiness or a good mood is not required for survival. So if you if you're a happy person, that means that you're getting all your survival needs met. Like you're feeling safe. You're not stressed all the time. Your body, your digestion is working properly. Your circadian rhythm's aligned. So then your body's like pretty set and it's like, okay, yeah, now I can step up into being happy and having a good mood and things like that. So that's just what popped up for me at least, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
such a powerful transition of the two different places that you worked at, like still getting to help people like relative to health. How often do you try to like slide in like an esoteric like health tip or like, hey, you could be doing this too?
Oh, my new job, it's super easy. Like the people that come in there are like very, for the most part, open-minded.
Oh, that's
So all the
wonderful.
time I'm just like always trying to give them like the best recommendations or even just like something very little that came up that just popped up that happened yesterday when I was in there. Um, this lady was looking at my shoes and I was wearing my Vivo barefoots. And so we just like kind of got into it about like the benefits of like barefoot shoes. And then I was telling her about how I work out in like my Vibram five finger shoes. And so it's fun to just like get into those little things that normally wouldn't pop up like in the hospital setting.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's definitely like I use that as kind of like a entryway to like get my skills up in terms of like articulating these things to people and kind of like even though I haven't directly worked with clients yet in terms of like with my holistic health stuff, which I'm sure we'll get into, kind of just like getting the reps in of like showing them different avenues that they might not have ever heard of before and everything like that. So yeah, it's very fun to be able to like kind of Trojan horse people into some more esoteric
Yeah.
sides of health. Like they think they're just coming in for some vitamins, but I just give them the whole rundown on like the importance of nutrition and like you said, being like finding that happiness in your own life and just figuring out like what makes you happy and how that can be so impactful on just your overall vitality and well-being.
Yeah. I love how like overall, like I guess literally holistic of a system it is. Like you can talk to somebody about shoes, you talk to them about happiness, to talk to them about like nutrition, all for the same goal of just like feeling better and being healthy. I'm curious,
Yeah.
what have you found like overall your experience in just research and educating yourself and working, all of that, what has come to be your unique health philosophy now?
Yeah, that's a big one for sure. My, um, I guess I can kind of come back to something that you touched on earlier. It's just like the importance of happiness. And like one of the biggest frameworks that I use over the last like 5 years from when I first came across it is from my mentor, Paul Chek, which I think you and I have talked about him before.
Yeah.
But he's who, like, I'm certified as a holistic health practitioner through the Chek Institute. And so Paul's been doing this for like 40 years. Um, and so one of his like core uh, fundamental like tenets that he has is this thing called the four doctors. And it's so simple and like or not application, but just like thinking about the concept of it is very simple. So you have the four doctors, which are Dr. Happiness, Dr. Movement, Dr. Quiet, and then Dr. Diet. And so if you can get all four of those doctors, which those are just like metaphysical doctors that you can like consult with every single day, um, and being able to get in alignment with all four of those doctors, that is essentially what has enabled me to kind of bring like a greater sense of awareness to like the whole holistic side of being a human. And there's not just like one area that you can venture down, like specifically like with diet. Like you can try all the diets in the world, but if your values aren't aligned with what you're doing, or you're not resting appropriately, or you're not moving enough, that's not going to be like enough to get you to health. You can see results for sure in that way,
Yeah.
through like each of the specific things. But in order to live like a truly holistic life of well-being and vitality, you have to like incorporate all of the aspects of your life. And so I would say that's kind of like the overarching philosophy. I would say is just like seeing every piece of your life as equally important as they all are. Like there's no individual piece of health that's going to get you to the finish line. They all have to come across with you. um and so if you want, we can touch on like a little bit deeper into like the like main tenets of the four doctors, because I think that's like getting into that a little bit more kind of gives people the framework to work with that a little bit more and see where they can start to utilize that in their own life.
Yeah. I would love that. I'm super curious to hear about it.
Cool. Yeah. So Dr. Happy is like the chief physician, because all of the other doctors are essentially like subordinate to that doctor. Like everything is kind of derived from that in your life. So the biggest thing with Dr. Happy is just getting clear on your one love, or like what your guiding like principle is that you're driving towards. So that could be like just becoming the best version of yourself, or being in the best shape of your life, or like having a life that's filled with joy and abundance. Like it doesn't have to be like any specific thing, but you just want to have that like guiding force that is like pulling you forward. And so that kind of shapes everything else in your life. So when it comes to like Dr. Diet, let's say, you're going to base your diet on like the dietary choices that you're going to make. Those are going to be based on that guiding principle that is like driving you forward. So you're using that as kind of like the framework to like the lens that you see everything through. So you can use like your dietary choices and like the amount of, or when it comes to like doctor movement, let's say, like, are you working out too much? Like, are you just working out for working out's sake? Or even like Dr. Quiet, which correlates to like sleep, obviously, because that's like one of the most important
Yeah.
restorative practices that we absolutely need, that we've kind of just really pushed to the sideline. And something that I firsthand know how important it is with working night shift for like I think probably like 2.5 years total of my life I spent working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. and it was just it
Oh,
absolutely wrecked me. Yeah. Um, and so, yeah, using like that framework of your one love as like the guiding force that's going to pull you towards that life that you actually want to live. And it also helps you get clear on like what your principles and values are, even because a lot of people I don't think are aware of what the values that they hold within themselves, either consciously or unconsciously, that they kind of got like programmed with or are like societally conditioned onto us. And so a lot of people are kind of just running on autopilot, following the next trend just because they see someone online got results for it. And you can try that out for sure and see how it works for you if it's aligned with what you want to be doing. But you have to ensure you're not getting caught up in any sort of like dogma of like this is the only way that it can be done, because all of us are uniquely different and require different uh, things every single day. And even if you do find something that does work for you, like in terms of diet, let's say, that's going to change based on your level of activity. So, like if you're working out, if you got a day where you're working out super heavy, you're probably going to need a little bit more fuel than like if days where you're a little bit more sedentary. And so, just really, the four doctors is just kind of like a beautiful framework that I found that allows me to like constantly have awareness around the choices that I'm making every single day, and just seeing where they're in alignment with the things that I am striving for and who I want to keep becoming.
yeah. I like that system. Like Doctor Happy is the goal. Like, what do you want from all this? What's your purpose? Because I've always kind of believed that, like, I don't want to be healthy just to be healthy. I don't want health to just take over my life. Like, I just want to use
Right,
it as a foundation so that way every other thing that I do is going to be so much better because then I'm feeling better. I'm not tired, so I can be more present. So, yeah, it just makes everything better overall. So, that Dr. Happy kind of ensures that you're not doing it just for health's sake or just for vanity's sake or whatever it may be.
right.
There's purpose
You don't
behind
want to
it.
be a Brian Johnson type of guy where you're just trying to not die.
Yeah.
Like that's not great energy that you're putting your life force
No.
towards, is just trying to not die.
Yeah, putting life toward not dying. What if you put life toward life? Like it's
Right.
that simple. Um, but yeah, like I've read some of Brian Johnson's stuff, not anything in depth, just social media posts, and every time I see it, um, like some people hate on it, some people are like, okay, I'm gonna do this now, but it's like you kind of just have to realize like Brian Johnson's goals are probably a lot different than your goals, or that's why I don't follow what Brian Johnson does because my goals don't align with his, and that's why not a lot of people like realize this. They'll just see whatever they see online and take it and try it and see if it works. And I was a guest on a podcast yesterday and I talked so much about just experimenting. Like, yeah, I'll just, if I see something, I'll just try it, see how I feel, and not have any attachment to it. Like, keep doing it or stop doing it. Just experiment. That's all it is. But not a lot of people have that filter. I think, especially at the beginning of like health is such an echo chamber of everybody thinking that they are right and everybody telling you what to do. And it's not going to work because your goals probably don't align with the goals of the person that you're reading. And if they do, then it's smart to experiment, but like a really extreme bodybuilder is not going to give me the best health advice for me because my goal isn't to be extremely buff. Same with an Olympic skier or whatever it may be.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely love what you said there about just like kind of experimenting
Mhm.
with everything in your life. And there's no like experimenting is amazing and it's great to like try to figure
Yeah.
out all these different like especially like when it comes to supplements, I'm a little like on the fence, like whether
Mhm.
they're like super beneficial or not. But I mean, I definitely see the value in at least like trying them out. Or even like different practices like breath work or like red light therapy or stuff like that. And something that I keep coming back to over and over is just like being a scientist in your own life, like a true
Yeah.
scientist of like really doing the running the experiment of like, okay, this person says that this routine in the morning of breath work, ice bath, and being out in the sun makes them feel amazing. But that might not always suit you on even any given day. It might make you feel
Yeah.
amazing because I'm sure like all those practices are great and like their own moderation. Like I'm out there in the sun every single day. I love ice baths. I don't do them all the time, but like they're great and they make you feel really good. Um, or even like breath work. Like I've tried out breath work every now and then, not super in depth. Um, but it just like it always hasn't, it's never like really resonated with me super like a whole bunch. But being able to like truly just find what works for you and having the discernment to like let go of, like you said, any attachment to any particular thing working out. And just, yeah, really feeling into your body what is like the most in alignment with you and your goals and how you're feeling on any particular day. Because I know one thing for me is like I'm a very structured person. I do very well with structure. So I've found a routine that works really well for me every single morning. And some days I go off of it just because I feel like my body might need a little bit more rest. So I sleep in a little bit more, or I might need to stretch a little bit more in the morning than I normally would, or get a like quick 20-minute workout in or something like that. And just like really again just experimenting with whatever works and even on day to day just like feeling intuitively to what does my body need right now, what does my body want, and what's going to help me feel the best in this given circumstance. And so developing that connection with your body is super important rather than just like outsourcing your health to someone online or like something you read in a book just because it should work for you.
Yeah, exactly. I even think back to, yeah, my morning routines have been vastly different over the last like 2 years. Like for some time, I was waking up and within minutes of my laptop was open straight into deep work. After that, well, I don't know about after that, but I've also tried like waking up and just doing like 3 sets of push-ups to like max to failure. So I was doing like a couple hundred push-ups right away in the morning before anything, like before drinking water. Another time I would go outside and go for a walk, like immediately, not even brush my teeth or anything, just up and I'm walking. Lately, I've been getting up, like taking it slow, just stretching, like pacing around the house with an open journal, waiting, having a cup of coffee, like really just flowing, not really knowing what I'm gonna do that day, not knowing if I'm gonna get into work or not. So that's yeah, that's where I've been lately, but all of those different morning routines worked for me. It's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of sometimes the timing too. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow morning, I'm like, fuck, I gotta hit push-ups. Like, let's go. And maybe I won't. Maybe will wake up and like I just want to read and contemplate and walk or whatever it may be. So it really is just listening to yourself because health, especially relative to like the modern world, how like set up it is for failure around health. Anything that you do for health is going to be good. It's like if you want to make it ideal, then it kind of comes down to timing, and that's when going into the intuition helps. In my experience, at least, that's what I've found. I'm curious, what have you done, or how have you, what's helped you to connect to that intuition of what your body is telling you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. um I would say it's definitely not been, it's kind of just like an ever evolving process, I think. And so with that experimentation that I was talking about, I think that has really kind of helped out
Mm-hmm.
the most.
Yeah.
And kind of just seeing the patterns of like, okay, when I do this in the morning, this is typically what ends up happening or how I feel. Um, and so, yeah, I would say just like giving yourself the grace to like not have it figured out and that it's always
Yeah.
going to be a revolving process, like something for me that because I was pretty similar to you, like my morning routines have changed over and over again. But even since I moved into this house like 6 months ago now, my routine has changed drastically just because the availability. Like I used to go on walks first thing in the morning. I wake up, drink water, go outside.
Yeah.
Um, But now that I'm living in an area that I don't have accessibility, like I live out in the country, so I don't have like sidewalks to just go and like walk around. Um, so it's just like gradually changed, and you have to like figure out what works best for you given your certain circumstances. Um, and then also just kind of, I think a lot of people are just kind of devoid of like their own internal sensation. And so just being like constantly curious about like doing a full analyzation of my body every day. Like there are days where I might wake up and feel like a little bit extra tired, but I need to like I just get out of bed and do like a quick like assessment of my being basically. And as soon as I stand up and do that, I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, like my body feels fine. Like I was just super comfy in bed, and it's like pitch black outside when it's 8 a.m. because it's like the middle of winter in Ohio. Um, yeah, so just doing like that little scan really quick and just kind of getting familiar with the sensations that you have and like your emotions and everything. That's been probably like one of the bigger ways that I've been able to like kind of tap into that intuitive process of like what my body needs.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that. I like what you first said about like still doing the experiments and stuff, and that'll help get into your intuition. And what came up for me was like, well, yeah, of course you'd want to experiment. It's I don't know why this didn't click for me before, but it's the more things that you just experiment with, the more like your body knows. Your body then knows the experience of doing push-ups right away in the morning or doing breath work or getting right in a cold shower. It like your body will remember all of those experiences and how it felt during different times of the day. So you're basically just giving like your body all of this info with all of these experiments, and then you're like you just yeah, and then you get into it and you're like, okay, well, what do you like? What do you want right now? I remember saying a couple days ago in a conversation, it might have been yesterday, but it was like you can just always ask your body because like you are being healthy for your body. Like we don't really need to be
Hmm.
healthy, like our spirits don't really need to be healthy, but our bodies do. Like we are healthy for the sake of our bodies. So if you just ask it, it will tell you because your body wants to be healthy. So it's going to help you if you just give it the time and ask it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our bodies are literally the most wonderful, complex,
Yeah.
beautiful pieces of technology that have ever been created in the entire known universe. And so, yeah, just like being able to have the take the time to like try multiple different things throughout however long it takes until you find what works best for you. That's going to be super critical, and just like not necessarily relying on that instant gratification that we're like really
Hmm.
conditioned to like seek now. Um, and there are going to be days where you don't feel great when you do something, and that's okay. And that's just like another data point that you can like mark down and be like, okay, like we figured out like one thing that we don't want to do in the future, I guess. Or maybe we do eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not like it's so dynamic, and there's no like, I think the biggest thing is just like when it comes to health is not being like so dogmatic about any particular thing that we do, and just really being constantly open to what is in front of us and just being able to take that on with an open mind and an open heart. That's like one of the biggest things that can make a huge difference in anybody's life, like starting day one.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like I'd certainly rather just experiment, have fun, like go wherever my curiosity is bringing me, and have probably a little bit less ideal health than like follow one thing forever because I think I would get bored so fast. And maybe that's different than some people, but just me personally at least, it was like yeah, my health is not ideal right now, but I'm having so much fun experimenting with different ways that I can move my body or different routines or different practices or seeing like what if I don't have to do as much as I think or that like Twitter is telling me that I have to do for my health. Like really just experimenting. Like I've gone into non-ideal health states of not working out at all, like barely watching my diet, maybe going in the sun a little bit, doing a little bit of breath work and just to see, not really as an experiment, I was just naturally less excited to do it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll follow this. I'll see what happens. I'm not afraid of not ideal health, especially compared to what I used to be. Like, look how far I've come already. So it's like, yeah, let's see how much can I get away with not doing. So I wasn't exercising and my body got stiff and I wasn't feeling good and I wasn't feeling as strong and then I wasn't eating as well. And I was like, gosh, I'm kind of getting tired at like 1:30 or 2 p.m. every day. I don't really like this. Started eating better again and realized that solved the problem. So it always serves as like little reminders too. Like you don't need ideally perfect health. Like look how far that you've already come. Like we are meant to be like adaptable to any environment. So it really opens up the testing ground to not be afraid of just experimenting, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something that you touched on there is just like not being so neurotic about your health, of like constantly worrying about
Yeah,
like, oh, did I get my steps in today?
it's
Or
probably
like,
worse
did,
for you to worry that much.
yeah, for sure. Like the nocebo effect is a very real thing. And so like if you're worried about like the thing that comes to mind is like around the holidays, like you're super worried about like the seed oils in your grandma's food or something. But like something that I've come to like really appreciate is like the more emotional side of things. And what you were touching on there was super important. It's just like the fun that you're having doing whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, or like the joy that it's bringing you. Like that is going to, if you're in that state, that is going to facilitate your body to energetically work and function at just like such a higher level than if you're like just grinding your way through like chicken, rice, and like some vegetables just because you
Yeah.
think you have to, or like avoiding touching all of the receipts because if you touch one receipt, you're basically like fucking nuking yourself or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, so like just where can you like the biggest thing for me is just like where can I have the most fun and be filled with the most joy and like experience the most love and happiness each and every single day. That is like the biggest thing for health when it comes to, and that comes back to like Dr.
Yeah.
Happy as well. Like everything else is kind of just like a byproduct, and like you don't necessarily have to be the most dialed in person of all time to live a happy, healthy, abundant, vital life. Like you can just get through like essentially anything. Like our bodies are very adaptable, as you said, and I think that we probably even need those like fluctuations of experience because if you're just operating on one straight line the entire time, that seems pretty boring, and that doesn't allow for any sort of like growth or evolution, which is super critical. Like just personally in terms of becoming the best version of yourself, because you're going to learn more about yourself, like you said, like when you were not working out and not eating as well, like you learn more about yourself and like what your body actually does need during those times, whereas if you just like kept on pushing and doing the workouts and eating 100% right every single day, you're not always going to get that feedback that is required in order to like push you down your own evolution of becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah. I just randomly came to me that like it's kind of a cliche quote a little bit. It's like you have to grow, you have to like be uncomfortable or something like that. I don't know if you've heard something like that before, but it's like all growth comes from like something uncomfortable. So if you are just doing what is comfortable and eating the same things on the same routine, doing the same exercise plan, like same everything, that's then extremely comfortable, even if like the workout is a hard workout and that's a little bit uncomfortable, but you're used to it because you do it all the time. So it's, yeah, it really just goes back to you're going to grow so much more in the long run by just doing whatever you want, just well, not whatever you want, but experimenting, doing what's calling you, doing what is making you happy, because that's then going to put you in more uncomfortable situations. It was uncomfortable when I was getting tired every afternoon because I wasn't eating as well. I didn't like that, and then I knew, and then I was able to grow past it. And that's just one example. There's a ton of things, but I'm curious if we could switch it up here a little bit.
Let's
And
do it.
I know that you talk about chi. and I know nothing about it. That's one thing like I see online and I'm like, okay, this is interesting to me, but I've not like researched or dove into it. So I'd love to just pick your brain about it a little bit if you could just like explain to me what it is.
Yeah, so
I will say, I think
I'm
is it like it's like the energy in your body, right? Something like that?
Yeah, well, how I think it's kind of just like your life force energy.
Yeah, okay.
I know like in Chinese medicine, there's different types of qi, and I personally haven't dove like super deep into that. Like in terms of Chinese medicine, gone very deep down that rabbit hole. It's definitely very intriguing, and I've like dabbled in it, but I haven't probably done it the justice that it deserves to like really be able
Yeah.
to articulate like everything when it comes to that. Well, I mean, and being able to articulate anything about or articulate everything about anything is damn near impossible.
I know
But
it.
yeah, how I see it is kind of just like our life force energy that is inhabiting our being, and that is like what I would consider chi. And so that's definitely something for me that's been very, very present over the last like year and a half. Um, Especially because during that time, I actually went back to the hospital and was working nights again. And so before I went back and did that, I was like, okay, I need to figure out some way that I'm not about to just absolutely like wreck my entire life by
Yeah.
just throwing my sleep schedule out the window. And so I had heard about Tai Chi, and I'd actually at one of my classes, like for the Chek Institute, we would do like week long, like in person classes. And for the one that I had done earlier in 2023, I, no, 2024, um, every single day we would do some form of Tai Chi. And so um, I'd kind of gotten exposed to it in that way. And I'd heard people talk about the benefits of uh, like energy production on Tai Chi, kind of like centering yourself and just gaining more awareness. So that was something that like really stuck with me. And luckily at the class, we got like our own Tai Chi ruler, which is essentially just like a piece of wood that looks really nice that you hold in your hands. Like it's about like a foot long, and you basically just like rock back and forth, like moving the energy up and down your body and like breathing it in from source that like we're kind of just swimming in these energetic fields, um, coming from like the one ultimate energetic field that is like God, source, whatever you would want to call that. Um, and so I kind of just like on a whim was like, okay, I'll just try this and see how it works. Because my mentor Paul, he very adamant on Tai Chi. He said I mean, he's done multiple different they're called gongs. It's like 100 days in a row. He said he did Tai Chi for like 18 years every day for 18 years, and it like basically saved his life. So I had taken down the path of like dedicating to doing it every single day. And within probably like the first month, I had noticed like really tangible benefits of it. Um, just in terms of my overall energy levels, like I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 3 to 4 nights a week. Sometimes like 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 nights in a row. So you're just like, that's absolutely like worst case scenario for your circadian rhythm. And I was like noticing that I was still able to function, like even though I was sleeping probably like 5 or 6 hours during the day sometimes, because I would still want to wake up and like go out and be in the sun before I had to go into work again that
Yeah.
night. So I would only sleep like 5 or 6 hours at night or during the day. And so like even with sleeping that little, I was still had more energy than I did like before I even started. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting.
Wow.
Um, and I also like was feeling more centered in myself as well, like more emotionally regulated, and could um really tell like a big difference in terms of like my interactions with people every single night. Because like on night three, 3 of 3, when you're like having slept like 10 or 12 hours for like the past few days. Like you're very short fused, but like I noticed that I was able to take in a lot more and handle a lot more than I previously would have. Um, and so that was like kind of what kicked it off for me in terms of like, oh, okay, this is the real deal. Um, and then also in terms of like the actual practice itself, like being able to, because you essentially what I would do was like that rocking practice. I would do that for like 20 minutes, just straight. Your eyes are closed, and then at the very end, you can just like I would sit there and I would either like just take in the experience or like pray. But being able to like tangibly feel the energy moving through my body was like, oh, okay, that was like my first real like relationship to this
Yeah.
energy that's like
Wow.
flowing in all of us all the time and that's all around us. And so I basically did that for the entirety of my experience working in the hospital. And I've continued on with it. I actually just passed 500 days. I think it was like 5 or 6 days ago now.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's definitely been like the biggest like game changer for me. Um, yeah, that I've ever engaged in. And I've done like multiple, like I think 300-day stretches in a row, which is like when you, according to like Chinese medicine, if doing like 100 days in a row is like the best practice. They and 100 days or like even beyond that, but like it takes 100 days to get to like optimal chi
Okay.
levels, I guess you would say. So being when I did my first one, that was like a big milestone, and I could like definitely tell like that a huge shift had occurred, and yeah, I was also able to just kind of like it felt like I was able to tap into like a level of creativity that I'd never experienced before. Like that's kind of when the idea for like keep your chi up. Um, that was like when that came through. That's when I started writing. When I started like just producing art in general because I'd never been like
Yeah.
an artistic person before. I wouldn't consider myself that. It kind of unlocked this like creative side of me as well because it felt like I had more energy to be creative, essentially. Because before I was just kind of like operating at a level that wasn't really conducive to having like excess life force that I could like put out into the world. And so, yeah, that's like that was a very long-winded answer into like what chi is and what like my Tai Chi practice. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I love that. I'm glad that you went into your experience with it too. I think that's super powerful just for understanding more of what it is. So, just to clarify, chi is the energy, tai chi is the practice of moving that energy.
Correct. Yeah. So,
Okay.
um, Qi is the energy, and then Tai Chi is actually just like a form of Qi Gong. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that
Okay.
before,
Yes, I have.
but Qi Gong is it basically translates to like energy work. And so there's like a myriad of different practices. Like some you're moving all the time. Like Tai Chi is traditionally like slow movements. You can do with the ruler. That's just the practice that I found that works best for
Okay.
me. But there's like I'm ones like you probably see like when people think of Tai Chi, they think of like old people in the park like moving around like slowly like this.
Yeah.
So that is I'm sure like a different practice of Tai Chi, but then there's other that are kind of like sitting meditations where you're just like moving the energy up and down your body. Um, because they have in the Chinese medicine, they have like they're called dantians, and those are essentially like energy storage, the places that energy are stored. So there's one like up here, there's one in your heart that's like in the center of your chest, and then there's one like right at your belly button, and that is like where all of the energy that you culminate is kind of like stored basically. Which was very interesting. Like I read about that after I had started, probably like 3 or 4 months after I had started my practice, and it was like always super interesting. Like when I was done, you could feel the energy moving through the Tai Chi ruler, which is a good thing that it's wood because that allows the energy to move through it. And it
Uh,
essentially like connects to your I keep it in like the palm of my hands and specifically like wrap my ring finger around it because these are connected to the heart meridian. And so the energy would move through like your palms and those specifically your heart meridian, and then I could feel it going up my arms, like down my head, and then through my heart, and then it. They say that it like rests, like majority of your chi kind of rests in your lower dantian, and so I'd always feel the energy like going right to about my belly button. So it was super cool to like read that a few months after and be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
Yeah, and it just kind of reinforces like the power behind what you're doing. Wow, that's awesome. Does it ever feel like it's, I guess you said you've done 500 days in a row. Does it ever feel like it's become maintenance instead of like an additive practice? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And I would say probably towards the end of my session in the hospital or like period of time in the hospital, like those I worked there for like 9 months doing night shifts again. At certain periods there, it definitely felt like maintenance, like just like
Mm.
a pick me up of like what I would need to do to
Yeah.
like get me back to like the starting like a baseline so I wasn't in like a deficit. And even sometimes now it definitely feels kind of just like if I'm feeling low energy on a particular day, I'll just like go do Tai Chi, which especially during the summertime, it's like prime because you get to like go out there in the sun, you just charge up for like
Yeah, I
half
can
20,
imagine.
25 minutes. Yeah, that's like my drug of choice for sure is Tai Chi in the sun. I feel like nothing makes me feel better than that. Um, Actually, last summer I did this. I had a period where I would go and run like 2 miles as fast as I can, and then I would get in the ice barrel, and then I would do Tai Chi to warm myself up. And that was like, it felt like I took a limitless pill. Like, if I could experience what a limitless pill was like, it was probably that combination right there. Um, but yeah, I would say for the most part, it feels kind of just like now it almost feels like just my energetic and mental hygienic practice for me on like a daily basis. Um, just because it helps like calm my mind. And that's like what I do. It's my meditation practice basically. Um, just because like sitting meditation, I had tried it before for like significant periods of time, and it always like it never really did it for me, I would say. But this practice is like really hit home because I'm just like kind of I like to move around a lot, I would say, being like I'm
Yeah, I'm
pretty
similar.
athletic. Yeah, so like the combination of like the rocking, because you're like standing up too, and so you're rocking back and forth on your feet, and then you sync that up with your breathing. So you inhale on the way up, and then you like get to about here, and then you start to exhale. And I do different mantras throughout it as well, which so it's kind of like breath work, a little bit of movement, and meditation all in one. So it's like the perfect trifecta for me. Um, so yeah, I would say it's more so like just some days it does feel like I have like it provides like a surplus, but at this point it kind of just is like so infused into like my daily routine of
Yeah.
like who I am. Like I do Tai Chi every single day. I love it. It brings me joy every single day. And that's not to say going back to like the first thing, one of the first things we talked about is like although I am like pretty rigid about like getting it in, I'm not like neurotic where I feel like if I didn't do my Tai Chi for the day, my whole life's gonna fall apart or something like that. Because I did used to be like that for a couple periods of time, like especially like when I was going for a gong or something. Like if I'm on day 84 or something, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna miss this day of Tai Chi. My gong is gonna I'm gonna start over from zero again. Um, and I would like get super neurotic, and then I would like get into the Tai Chi just because I felt like I had to do it, and it always felt like super forced and like it never flowed, and
Yeah.
my thoughts would just be like constantly running. Um, so yeah, I would say it's a like a little bit of both now. Like it does provide me like a good boost, and I think that is like one of the biggest things. Well, just being able to like hone my focus in um, for that period of time is super beneficial, and I think like meditation would say venture to say that just about anybody or everybody should do for like some prolonged period of time just to like train your focus again because our collective attention span is like that close to a goldfish nowadays.
Yeah.
So like having some sort of practice like that you can come to every single day that is like is going to be restorative for you, um, and provide you some benefit is super critical today, I think.
Yeah. I love it. I ask because I've done breath work every single day for a little over 300 days. I don't know the exact day, but roughly around there. And some days I've felt like yeah, completely like skyrockets my energy. Or if I'm feeling like worked up, it'll completely like center and still me. And then other times it does feel like maintenance, like, okay, well, I have to do this today just to feel normal. And there was a period where right before like the streak that I've been on, I did it every day for about 2 months, and then I just completely stopped for like maybe a month roughly, and I was just getting like these little angry ticks that were just coming back up, and it felt like I kind of had it in my mind like whenever something was wrong, I was like, oh, the world's against me. Like, oh, like wow, my life is so bad. Like just like all this crap that I knew that wasn't true. And my girlfriend's like, you need to do breath work again. So I started doing it. And I was like, yep, you're right. I'm doing this every day now, and I haven't stopped. And like those little moments have come up, but yeah, it definitely went away in a couple weeks after I had begun doing breath work again, and just another form of experimentation. Like I learned that I need some kind of practice that allows me to just slow down, and maybe that could be Tai Chi and meditation. Very similar for what you said. It's like, I don't know, like I kind of like to be doing something, or I know like a lot of people say it's like once you get past 25 or 30 minutes or 40 minutes, that's when your mind actually stills, and that's when it gets like really, really special. And I've done a couple hour-long meditations, and I have certainly felt that. But I've found that with breath work, because I'm actually doing something, I don't always have these like random thoughts or like the monkey mind that a lot of people say.
Hmm.
So that's just what I've enjoyed. But yeah, definitely curious about Tai Chi, experimenting deeper with trying longer meditations too. I just haven't gotten myself to do it yet.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely in a similar camp in terms of like going longer with the meditations.
Yeah.
Um, Something about like just that 20-minute sweet spot always like feels really good for me. And that might also be something like personally for me, like I kind of feel like, oh, I don't have like the hour long time that I would need to
Yeah.
like meditate, which is funny to think about because I used to think that about like Tai Chi, like 20 minutes, where am I going to fit this into my schedule? And it's just like, I don't know how like I didn't have the time to do it before, or even just like when it comes to like my writing or anything creative, like I think it's so interesting to like once you start a practice like that is new and that you fit into like your schedule, how it just kind of becomes like part of your like
Yeah.
uh, uh who you are, and it's just like what was I really doing before this, like in terms of like something tangible for me is like putting out articles every single week. Like I would have thought that that was like the hardest thing in the world, but now it's just like yeah, that's just something that I do every day, and it's just like how did I like it's so interesting like the different levels of awareness that we step into, and it's just like you kind of make the time for it, whereas like before you just think of all the other things that you could be doing, but it's like it's because it wasn't aligned with who I wanted to be at the time. But like now I want to be the person who does Tai Chi every single day and has that practice that is able to like center myself and make do
Mhm.
something for myself that I know is gonna leave me more happy, healthy, and whole on the other side of it, rather than just like doing whatever else I used to do before during that 20 minutes and
Yeah.
like sitting on my phone for an extra 20 minutes a day.
Yeah, that's a really funny comparison. It's like, yes, like using your phone for 20 minutes or doing something that completely fulfills you and raises you up and just makes life brighter. Like that's so funny to put those two next to each other, and it literally does just take the same amount of time. Like if you ask any unhappy person ever, like, "Hey, would you give 20 minutes a day to be happy?" They would like obviously say yes so fast. They wouldn't even think about it.
Right. But then if you like brought that to their awareness, like, oh, your screen time is like 4.5 hours today. Do you think we could like cut back 20 minutes on that? They're like, I don't know if I'd be able to do that really.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah,
just
4 hours isn't enough for you.
for sure. But yeah, it's all just comes back to like that awareness around like the person that you want to become, and like doing the things that are needed in order to make that dream that you have a reality.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Cool. I'd love to like wrap it up with that. Like let's leave people sit with that. Do you have any last thoughts that you wanted to get out about anything that we talked about or anything new?
Um, I don't think so right now. This is great. I'm sure we'll be doing many more in the future. I feel like we kind of like barely scratched the surface on a lot of stuff, but yeah, this is
Yeah,
like
we
a
did.
great first like intro to like I mean one connect with you a little bit deeper as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, definitely excited to get into it some more with you and everything. And yeah, thank you again for having me on. This is fantastic.
Yeah, sure thing. I think we did hit on some super unique stuff with like how individual health is and how you can experiment and how it's not super serious. Because I think that a lot of people aren't saying that, but really, like, that's what makes it fun. That's what keeps it going. And then, yeah, getting into the personal practices with the Tai Chi, super like interesting to hear about that. So thank you very much. But where can people find you if they want to?
Yeah, so I'm primarily on Substack, so you can find me there at it should just be Jared Krupp. And then I'm on Twitter. I'm not really super active on there as of late. I've kind of just been more dedicating time to Substack just because it feels cleaner to me, and I just
Yeah,
enjoy the space over there. And then I've got a school group coming out here probably within the next month or so, kind of just going over the different practices that I have found to be super beneficial. So there'll be stuff on like Tai Chi in there, modules on like the four doctors, six foundational principles, which we didn't get into, but maybe we can save that for the next one.
yeah,
And then, yeah, kind of just like some of the more other things like circadian health that are super important to me, water, light, just, yeah, the whole gamut
awesome.
will kind of be in there. What it takes to keep our chi up, if you would, and take us to like becoming the best version of ourselves, the most happy, healthy, and whole person that we can become here in this lifetime.
Awesome. I love that. I'll link all of that stuff. Maybe when you're launching the school, you can let me know. We can hop on another one, like deep dive on all the stuff that would be in there. I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, making the time. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Heck yeah, I did too, brother. Thank you.